My name's Chris.
And I'm from Perth.
No, you're not.
I'm Kristie.
This is the Washing Up podcast. We do need locals, however, because
I know.
we need locals with local produce and local content.
Yes. How if we get someone who's just locally made himself a local coffee?
How about if we get someone who's locally made himself a local coffee and once locally went up to the top of the local bell tower with me and played all sorts of random tunes? How are we going, Robert Harwood?
All good. Much solemn nodding from another giant redhead.
Well done.
I'll just give you a slow clap, you know.
Yep.
Lock you in.
Lots of nodding, lots of solemn nodding.
Well done, you. Being a local.
Western Australian week. we really have to get the locals on. So this is our opportunity, obviously.
Now, what you people are missing at home is that we've got video with Robert. He's surrounded by quokkas and Marin. That's all there is.
Far as the eye can see, all within the confines of Optus Stadium.
Wait. The iconic Optus Stadium, which has only just been built. Yeah.
Hallowed.
Anyway.
Hallowed. We're going to come to that in a minute.
Yeah.
So we'll just jump straight into this. Why Optus Stadium? I can only assume it's because that's all you're allowed to talk about legally in Perth until it's paid off.
Yeah. It's lots of people have been there. They say it's perfectly fine. Sure.
The Wi-Fi apparently is amazing.
Looks like it's open to rent for weddings, parties, anything.
I don't think they can do it.
No.
Oh, you meant...
Yeah. Optus Stadium.
You meant the band.
Like, do you know the reason that there was no crowd at Optus Stadium and George was having to engage in the theatre of the mind? Because you can't get to the fucking place.
No. And again, on our Perth jaunt, we drove past it and you can see it quite clearly, but you can't see any clear path or avenue to get there beyond the footbridge.
It's only accessible by Gina Reinhardt. She's like, fuck you, plebs.
Does she parachute people in or only Gina Reinhardt?
Only Gina Reinhardt.
She has a direct tunnel.
Yeah.
It's from one of the mines.
She had to escort them. She sent one of the Gina clones in.
Yeah, like much of Perth's mottos, it's getting better. We're getting some sort of transport to it. Sure. The transport will come later. Just trust us. Right.
What's a motorway?
Hey,
we have at least one of those. How dare you?
Well done. I've mentioned this a few times, and Robert's heard this story many times before, but first time I was ever over in Perth and they were marvelling at the fact that they might actually end up with a toll road. And as someone who's from, miscellaneous city, which is full of toll roads.
My favourite thing about Perth is that within a 20-minute drive, you're in fucking wine country. Like, that to me is beautiful. Like, just...
And within a 10-minute drive, you're in the middle of fucking nowhere.
Hey, it was called... Where did we go with that crazy museum of awesomeness?
Oh, that's Guildford. That's the oldest part of Perth.
Okay, so we are going to get to the challenge, but trust me, this museum is far more interesting. Robert, please, for the layperson out there that's never been.
So next time you come to Perth, so when Chris and Kristie came to Perth, I took them on the somewhat craptacular tour of Perth. So it was a tour of all the, it was marvellous. So it was a tour of all the slightly less touristy things that are just for locals. So,
Masterchef tour, in other words.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So the Museum of Natural History is a taxidermy shop in Guildford on the main drag in historic Guildford. And it's both awesome and shit at the same time. It's worth it just to walk through with your mouth hanging open going, what the fuck am I doing here? What is happening to me? Where am I? Why?
It really took me back to my grandmother's house because she had little fish tank dioramas of just random shit and just things that she'd found. So I really felt akin to this place. I'm very happy.
We got some of the best staged photos next to taxidermy that money can buy.
But what I love is on the way out, they've gone, oh no, there's dinosaurs around the back. And just when you think it's over,
you walk around the back of the building and it's an old hall. And you walk around the back of the building and there's just a dinosaur.
Dinosaurs. Just there.
Just because.
T-Rex.
So, you know what? I'm disappointed they did not do a cooking challenge there.
So if you go there, you can also go across the road to Matt Preston's favourite hamburger place.
Alfred's Kitchen since 1950 something or other. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's been around a while.
using the meat from inside those animals that have then been done at taxidermy. So,
but I also love that they have a big fire pit. You can go get soup and sit around it. Like we were there in the middle of summer, so there's no fucking.
It was
way
not
we're doing
happening.
that.
It was really. Actually, it wasn't that fucking hot. Sydney Miscellaneous City was in a heat wave. Melbourne Miscellaneous City was in a heat wave.
Perth is beautiful.
To keep it general, but no, Perth was lovely. There's not a lot happening, but lovely.
It's nice to be able to drive down the motorway and not feel like a piece of grocery being scanned every now and then. Beep. Beep.
You get used to it. The barcode in the back of the neck doesn't really hurt after a while.
Or in the case of mine, I don't know what it is. My e-tag is all fixed up. I just linked it to my cats and stuff. I'm getting these weird beeps. I'm like, what am I doing wrong?
It's the tag in the back of the neck. Have you not registered it?
Oh, I'm going to get ready for the fascist state.
Yeah, get ready. Coming. All right.
Coming to you in a state near you.
So they flew them. So they flew them all over the top of Optus Stadium while they were trying to work out where they could possibly be cooking.
Saying beautiful.
Because let's face it, that's the only way to get to Optus Stadium.
Realistically, yes. And then they all ran. Now
I took the Reinhardt copter.
Speaking of theatre of the mind,
over the booby bridge and the vagina statue.
We'll come back to those. Speaking of theatre of the mind,
yes,
Tim, for the entirety of this challenge, was engaged in a theatre of the mind, like he was out there playing. I don't know if you caught this, but every time the camera was on Tim, he was pretending to kick a goal
or punt a ball,
take a mark or hand pass. He was every single time and then when the siren went off, he thought that was hilarious. It was like, seriously, theatre of the mind at its best.
Theatre of Tim's mind.
Like, I don't know what he thought he was doing because, first of all, his kicking form was terrible. Like, he'd get a game for the Swans.
That lamb went nowhere.
So
nearly as well in the Dockers.
Oh, sports ball.
Yes, I am doing the sports ball talk. It'll be great. I'm here to run the sports ball talk. So, what I loved was they get out there to the benches. Where are the judges? Where could they be? Up on the giant fucking screen. Now,
there was Gary, there was George. No, there was Gary, there was Matt, and there was a person of interest.
There was a person of interest. So,
their blind cousin George. He honestly looked.
He spent the whole time like a person of interest had been brought in to have a conversation. He wasn't charged with anything. But he was simply a person of interest with regards to the case that the police had been wanting to speak to for a while. And I was waiting for known underworld lawyer to come out with him and sort of go, my client is just sort of helping the police with their inquiries. He's not under any form of prosecution. He's not charged with anything. He's just assisting at this point in time.
He looks like he was posing for a sketch artist.
Yes.
See, I thought he was just getting like stock footage for his show reel for his audition for, like Underbelly.
Well, they've got to be doing another one at some point.
Yeah.
Republic.
I mean, surely one of his restaurants has to be a front for something.
Look, I know they
Where
covered
did the money go, George?
Look, I know they
not to the staff.
I know they covered it. I know they covered it as part of what they did with that first Underbelly, and I know they covered all of it. But surely George has a role to play in a proper deep dive Tony Mockbell saga. Over in Greece with a bad wig on, as
his old hair back.
As Tony Martin once used to yell out all the time, "Ring the Antonius," the mock bell. So it would have been great. Like I want a deep dive one now with George starring as Tony Mockbell. I know they've done a lot of Tony Mockbell, but surely one more won't hurt.
There was a couple of times tonight when he was, I think it was in the second challenge in particular, where he's going around looking like he's about to rough up, it'd be a shame if that steak fell on the floor, wouldn't it, Christina?
Nice Marin you've got there, Simon. Shame if something curled it up.
Nicole, I see your lobster. You don't want that to be, wearing a cement shoe at the bottom of an ocean. It might...
Hey, Tim, you don't want me to take that lamb and kick it for a behind, do you? Because I'll do it.
I'll take your persimmons, Christina, and maybe it'll even out the dish.
So I would have gone with Simon sleeps with the fishes. No, he just fucks it up. Sorry, that's terrible. I've got very sweary. I've just finished work, and it's enough to make anyone quite sweary.
It's George interrogating the barramundi. Where were you? Are you the snitch, barramundi? If you don't talk, I'll hand you over to Simon.
So,
fate worse than death.
the mystery box.
Finally there.
Yeah, I can say the word mystery box.
After Simon walked in going, I'm feeling like a rock star. I'm like, that's good. You look like Chad Kroger.
Oh, God.
He likes his box around his feet.
Oh, that's so they described what was in the mystery box on the screen. Now, at this point, I wanted someone in production to be a smartass. I wanted them to give the judges a set of notes about what was in the mystery box that wasn't what was in the box. So they're describing it and going, you've got lovely chicken breast, and maybe you've got some diced carrots that have been pre-diced, and you've got some lovely frozen peas from Coles, and and they're looking at it going, that's lamb. That's a barramundi. What the fuck are you describing, guys?
You got a Christopher Scape. Sorry, I'm really dragging out the old.
You're dragging. I was also a bit interested by when they went, and you're here for a whole week of Western Australia, and they're like, oh, wow. And I'm sitting there going, what, you think they flew you over for one fucking day?
The producer's gone, no, I want you to pack for 7 days.
Look, we've got a big budget here at Channel 10. We've got unlimited pits of money. We're not going to fly you over and get as much footage as we humanly can. No. One day we're flying straight back tomorrow. So when they announced we're doing a tour of WA and going to more than one place, and they're like, wow, oh my God, a week in WA. And I'm like, they're fucking broke. Like, they're milking the footage. Like, seriously, they're not flying into Perth for a day.
It's actually 3 weeks until the grand final. The next two are in Western Australia.
They're getting their money's worth. Tomorrow's challenge, cooking for quackers.
So did you see them around town, Robert? Like when you were?
Nope, had no idea they were here. Although I'm oblivious to just about everything. So
you are. We did make mention. We did make mention on the Ben episode of the podcast about the King Park fighting, which you missed completely.
Oh, Paul. Okay, so the other night we went to see Frisky and Manish. And I feel terrible because you know how in Australia we like to keep it cool when there's some well-known people around. So I'm there and I'm just literally staring out into the audience, just seeing how many people are in the audience. And I didn't realise I was staring directly in the direction that Julia Zamiro was sitting until her friend looked at me and I was like, looked at her like, what? I'm just seeing if there's anyone here I know. And then I looked at them like, oh, I know her, but that's Julia Zamiro. And now I feel really bad. Like, I'm sorry. Like, I'm sorry, Julia Zamiro. I know you listen to this podcast.
My problem was that they asked us about musical styles, and I was going to yell at Eurovision, and that was before I suddenly went, oh, shit, Julia's there. She'll get self-conscious. Okay, don't do that. So, anyway, back to this show.
Yeah.
Because I've got a rant.
Okay. Have we covered everything to...
No, we're getting up to it.
Okay,
we haven't covered everything. We've covered nothing. I haven't even said what's in the box yet.
See, aside from the giant glow-in-the-dark donut in the middle of nowhere, well, not in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of quite good real estate, but
next
you
to
can't
a
get
motorway.
to it, might as well be in the middle of nowhere.
Next to a motorway with no on-ramp.
There was no content. Until you're mentioning specific things, I'm struggling to pull up anything at all about what happened last night.
That's me from tonight, but anyway. All right, so my rant, which I'll get this out of the way, because it's not really a rant. It's more, I've been trying to work out why I've been struggling with elements of this show, and I've worked it out finally. Right?
Alrighty.
We've talked about different ways to fix the show. We've all had a bit of a go at it, but this is sort of where I think it is.
They've had a go.
They've had a go, but I think here's the biggest problem. The show is backwards, right? It is a backwards show.
We should start with one contestant and work up to 24.
Yep, exactly. And 24, and they're the master chefs.
And you get trapped in the Masterchef kitchen for life.
And you work for George forever, and he doesn't have to pay you. But no, so the show is backwards because they're only doing one elimination this week and the week before finals week. Now, in the first week, they did the normal elimination, and they did the normal 2 eliminations in a week and stuff like that. The first 2 weeks, there needs to be less eliminations, if not none. Now, my rationale behind this is when some people go, you've got to eliminate them because that's the only way you can cut the number down. Well, one, you start with a smaller number if you really want to do that, which, look, that's a good idea, but they'll never do that in a million years. But we're getting a lot of bland dishes. Like now we're getting a lot of very bland dishes. Like how many times can you see fish being poached or fish being broiled or a fish skin draped across, a bit of barramundi or a bit of whatever. It's all becoming the same. And we're seeing a lot of like beetroot molasses. We weren't aware that was a thing until this year.
Butter sauce.
Butter sauce. Dear God, if I see one more butter sauce, I'm going to cry.
That's not on popcorn.
But this is the problem. So why are they doing all of this? Well, my theory on this is because they are not encouraged to try things to learn early. They are encouraged to stay in the competition. So you get everybody making pork crackling for the first 2 weeks because you want to stay in the competition, and Gary loves good pork. So if you crackle the pork properly, you stay.
I'm still mortified that what Tim did to that pork crackling the other night. But anyway, go on.
Aren't we all? Yeah. But this is the point.
Tim, you have disappointed me. Anyway, carry on.
Bitterly disappointed everybody.
You're now on thin ice with the giant redheads.
Yeah, watch out.
Of Australia.
Watch out. The biggest food redheads in Australia are coming after you.
Yeah.
So the two least influential redheads in Australia.
The guy called the Lost Weasley, whatever his name was.
Anyway, so you're encouraged if you don't eliminate people early.
Rhonda Birchmore.
If you don't eliminate people early. Sorry.
Rhonda Birchmore? Shit, have you got any Titanic comparisons while you're pulling out?
You were near a jazz fest. You were near a jazz.
Holy crap.
Cabaret.
We were near the Cabaret Festival the other day, and Rhonda Birchmore was performing. So,
she's still alive?
Yes, she is.
They're not doing Hot Shoe Shuffle.
No, still not doing Hot Shoe Shuffle. It's amazing.
I think she's
David Atkins has moved on. So
I think she's trying to redo Tap Dogs.
Anyway, so what I was saying was that it encourages them, if you don't eliminate them for the first 2 weeks, there's no pressure on going home, but they can do things like the little pep talk, like Nicole had her moment and they gave her a pep talk. And it was a really good pep talk about you're a good cook. You're here because you can cook. Think about your flavour. Think about this. Work out what you need to do.
Now go out there and smash the competition.
That was really good, but it should have been in week 1 or 2, not in semi-final week.
But it's not possible to be in week 1 or 2 because they're too worried about the judges. You've not got time to form any kind of relationship or opinion about anyone in the competition. You're still struggling to work out who the hell is who. Yeah. I've only just now started to work out the difference between all the blondes in the competition. Not that there's anything wrong with blondes, but there's a lot of them.
It went from a bromonge to a blondonge.
So like the other thing is with one person going home this week, where are the consequences?
Yeah.
Like, where are the consequences for doing a shit dish?
But this should technically, this like if you flip it around, right, this should inspire them to do better, best, because there are only rewards at the moment. You like for the past 2 nights, it's been you've got a chance to go into finals night, right?
It should be.
It should be.
But they're putting so much pressure on the best dishes, and the way they're doing it is selling it in such a way that it's not about expression. It goes back to that whole first 2 weeks of impress us and do what we want you to do, because if you do what we want you to do, we'll keep you. Well, they default to when you're fighting for your life in a competition and you see there's a chance to get a reward, you're going to do what they want you to do.
But you're also going to do that if you're trying to avoid being an elimination.
But this is what I'm saying about at the start, though. If you give them the 2 weeks first before you start eliminating anybody.
Yeah, I'm down for that.
All those tricky techniques, all those things that let them then try. Because now what you're getting is the reason why we're not getting people trying stuff is because they've never done it before and they're worried about failure, because they were so worried about clinging to the competition for the first 2 weeks, which is when they should be absorbing all of this food knowledge around them straight up. Yeah. And instead of absorbing all this food knowledge, I think the first week should be a boot camp. They bring in a bunch of really good chefs, really good foodies, and just bring in Jake Kenji Lopez Alt for a week. Right?
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Bring him in at six pound.
Or alternatively, right, you make it like a competition, like a fucking, like, you know how you get to the top of the table in tennis is by playing lots of comps and getting points. So for the first 12 weeks, you're in the competition and all you're doing is gathering points. And then say at the 6th week, the bottom 3 go head to head to get booted. And then at the 12th week, and again, the bottom 3, are booted, and then it's on,
That's going to give us a 458,000 week Masterchef, which Chen will love you for.
You can kick off more than that.
No, but what you've just done then is talk about Channel 10's dream scenario.
Which is like Survivor, Masterchef.
It's Masterchef all year.
Oh, but it's easy
programming. Masterchef all year. It never ends.
But can we just mix it up? Like just
it never ends
Survivor while Masterchef's going, and so we get Jonathan LaPaglia and his tweet game.
I'm not against that. I'm definitely not against.
I reckon where they've gone wrong is with how they do the immunity challenges. I've said it before. I'll always say it, but they should do it like Project Runway. They've got a really good kind of format that they can just pick up and dump straight on top of MasterChef, and it would fix all of the problems. So Project Runway, if you get immunity, you end up with someone doing batshit crazy things because they've got immunity just for the next round.
Yep.
So it's great because you'll see someone send someone down the catwalk in frigging nipple tassels and like craziness, but they've taken a chance. They've done something really bizarre.
At a butt plug.
Nobody takes chances in MasterChef anymore. You get, like you said, the crackle, you get the smear, you get the cauliflower puree, which, yay, but
you get the pom puree.
Oh, don't stop me on pom puree. Pom puree's on the list of things to talk about tonight. But what I also really like along those lines though, like I found myself tonight at one point thinking about the idea of well, if Larissa gets herself in trouble, well, she's still got the pin that she could play, and she's got to play the pin by this point because after this point the pin's null. And then I'm like, this is a food show. I shouldn't be thinking about when they're going to play an immunity pin.
Exactly, it should be forced on them next round.
I shouldn't be here going, well, Larissa won't really care what she does because if she gets into the elimination, she'll just play the pin because she can't play it by the middle of next week. The pin's gone.
Yep.
Not allowed to play it anymore. And I'm like, well, that shouldn't be the point. I like your idea of if you get immunity, that's then where you go nuts. And maybe if you want to stretch it out, the next two cooks.
Yeah.
So next two cooks, you're safe.
Yeah.
Right. And the idea there is that you get two cooks to like experiment and do weird shit. And they should encourage that.
Yeah, and even things like it's back to front in terms of with the tastings. They don't start tasting everyone's meal until towards the end of the season. Yeah. It should be the other way around. We should see everything right up front at the beginning. I know there's lots more people, but just edit better. Come on, people. It's not that hard.
Montage and mediocrity cover a lot.
Like, it would be more devastating at the end when you've only got like maybe 5-10 people and they only taste 3. Then there's some real stakes involved. Then it's more like heartbreaking to see someone like throw their all into some incredible thing and they're like, no, you're not good enough.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like for the first 8 weeks, you can just you literally, as long as you don't kill somebody, you can just loiter around for 8 weeks and not get noticed. So
make a plate of lamb chops and just sit there eating them. That's not okay. Like, there's no stakes in there. And we don't get to see if someone has taken a really big risk and it's not quite captured the judge's fascination. We don't get to see that shit.
No.
Anyway,
the contents of the immunity box.
Oh, that's right.
Remember it happened?
Sunday night.
Barramundi, mini pumpkins, lamb, chili, potatoes, sweet mandarin, and bushmint. Sure, why not? And
I remember they couldn't decide, so they had it an extra one. It's just not 8, it's 9 when you go to WA.
Oh, they just, you know what it was? They picked the barramundi and picked everything else and then went, Tim can't cook that.
9 for the
so 900 they got some lamb.
Bell towers in Perth. 9 for the awesome cakes and Miss Maud's that you could get at the smorgasbord.
Yeah.
I'm saying there's 9 cakes. There's probably more.
There's a million cakes. All right. So
giving me this look of, shut the fuck up, Kristie. We're still only at the box.
We haven't cooked anything yet.
Okay.
I literally said bush mint.
Okay. We had lamb. We had cheese.
We didn't have cheese. That's
yes,
tonight.
There was.
That's tonight.
No, last night there was cheese.
Not in the immunity box. Not in the mystery box. It was after.
No. Because there was a ravioli and it was a fucking gnocchi with fucking goat's cheese.
Goat's cheese, yeah.
It was a goat's cheese, you're right.
Ha! Yeah. Bitches, please.
All right, so Kristie is going to do the rest of the show here with Robert.
Right. So I'm Chris and I'm just going to read my notes and they also have mini pumpkins.
I've already done that.
Barramundi and some potatoes and mandarin and they're tasting all the dishes, which is about fucking time, and I'm going to just cordially hand back to my wonderful co-host, the delightful Chris, who really does deserve a Virgie. to take it from here.
All right. So to summarise, Larissa, Nicole, Tessa, and Anushka all made fish. It's so nice to see diversity at this point of the competition. It's a hallmark of Masterchef that we go out there to push ourselves.
And how many of those had a butter sauce?
Most of them. In fact, if anything, I think what they should have just done to save time is one of them should have done all the fish and one of them should have handled all the butter sauces. And we could have just cut.
And one of them handled all the crispy skin, except Nicole's. I think she did.
And then one of them could just go off and go and look at Optus Stadium for a bit and take some photos.
Yeah.
Is Anushka the most diverse person left in the competition
It
at the
does
moment?
say a lot about the competition.
That's a worry.
Larissa's Lebanese.
Descent.
Yeah. Fair enough.
It's sure. I mean,
But she's young and cool, so she's just mainstream.
Now, what was really fascinating for us, though, was that Christina. Now, when we were putting together the drinking game card, we had a conversation about panna cotta, and I went, do we just go overboard this week and load up on classics and go panna cotta and go maybe parfait or an ice cream? And what we decided was...
No one's going... There's lots of outdoor challenges. No one's going to be cooking an ice cream or a panna cotta.
Cut to Christina, who announces she's making a cake with an ice cream.
Yep.
Yeah, we left it off because we went, no one would be dumb enough to do it. More fool us. Because Christina decided that ice cream would be a good idea outside in the middle of a stadium on a hot day.
But she couldn't bring it up to temperature. She couldn't bring her on glaze.
Yeah, that was the thing. She wasn't the cooling down wasn't the first problem. The heating up was.
But Simon also had the issue with his lam.
Oh, there was Simon had issues.
Simon? Oh no, was it Tim?
Tim had issues with lamb.
Who
else? Who else has issues with lamb? Really? Tim decided. Okay, so let's go through the process of Tim's dish, shall we?
Mm.
So Tim announces very loudly that he's making goat's cheese gnocchi.
Okay.
By the time he got to the judging, it was lamb with a side of goat's cheese gnocchi. It changed between the original idea and the plating up.
Is it just me, or is Tim really good at placing ingredients next to each other? But anyway, go on.
He's very good at it. He's very good at stacking them next to each other like nobody's business.
I think he let himself down by deboning his lamb, though.
I think so too. The flavours near the
bone,
bone.
the T-bone took out the bone.
Mm.
Bone wasn't connecting to anything.
The lamb bone connects to nothing. Then George raised the idea of the toasty.
Oh, when are you going to make us a toasty?
When are you going to make us a toasty, Tim? Oh, I'm not going to touch that one, fellas. But we want you to make a toasty. Cut to.
Yeah. Tim making a toasty at home and calling it, what did he call it? The Sir Lamb Salot.
Yeah, Sir Lamb Salot, his lamb toasty.
Because it had lamb on it.
My dream is to own a toasty truck, making gourmet toasties.
I swear blind, he's like one of the extras in The Good Place, like in the early season, like where everyone's like perky and perfect and everything's going great. And like behind the scenes, I just wonder if Tim just like demons out. Like, I can't believe I have to fucking do this. Like, come on. Aren't we torturing George Columbaris enough? Like, toasties, just...
Where is Tim from? What state is he from?
He's from Forking, South Australia.
Right.
I think so. I'm pretty sure he's a South.
Okay, so Perth is the middle of nowhere, and we've already hit peak toasty. I tweeted out about this. Like, we have, like, our city overfloweth with toasties. Like, once you've hit a venue called Toast Faced Griller.
Oh, he's from. Yeah. You know what? Ballarat is poised for toasties. You know why? Because North Ballarat has finally opened its first kebab shop, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes, yes.
Oh, nice.
One of my friends who lives there pointed out tonight that she just found out they've opened up a kebab shop.
So Tim is poised on the cutting edge of Ballarat cuisine by doing a gourmet toasty truck. So,
all right. So maybe Perth is a little bit more ahead of the curve than I thought.
Well, if George is to be believed, there's a moment in time, a movement in Perth, and not a bowel movement.
Really?
You know why? They probably pay their staff.
There's a toasty movement.
Union movement. Anyway, All right.
Okay, there's about 15, 16, probably 20 odd different places that just do toasties, including toasty trucks. And yeah, that's a lot of toasties.
Well,
We have other food as well. It's just that's over and above.
the other thing I want to raise with the toasty thing is that, like, they raised this idea.
Is there one called Toasty with the Mosty?
There should be. That's an idea. Keep it.
I'm trying to think of other toasty puns.
While you're sitting there, Robert, just register the name. So
there's a place called Toast My Curry. Sorry.
Nice. So anyway, what I was really interested in though is he raised the idea of the toasty, and then what did Tim make for his course tonight, which was freedom of choice? French toast.
Sorry.
As part of his idea with the toasty, because he's like, it wasn't just a normal French toast; it was a French toast with all the stuff heaped on it.
Like, so do you think they'll just call it?
Did they plant the idea in his head and sort of push the idea? Because he brought it up. He goes, "The judges have been desperate for me to make toast, so I'm finally going to do it for them." And I'm like, and they talked about the idea tonight, by the way, that he's the toasty king. And I'm like, he's never actually made you a toasty. He's just told you he can do it.
I don't think he even made one in the show yet, has he?
No, but he told them he can make toasties. I could go on there and tell them I can make a fucking croquembouche. Until they ask me to do it,
you're the king of the croquembouche.
King of the croquembouche. Until they make me do it.
Adriana Zumbo will take you down.
So,
no, but you're a cisgendered white male. You'll be fine because then they'll go, "Oh, just having a bad night."
Sauce king. Anyway,
Flavor king.
When in doubt of a flavor king or a sauce king. So,
seafood king.
So Anushka decided and announced very loudly.
Wang king.
Sorry.
Keep going, Anushka.
So Anushka,
what did Anushka
announced very loudly that
I'm not doing a layer cake.
She was treating the fish as royalty. I did suggest it was the Russian royal family. Especially with the way she was using the knife on it. It was quite brutal, although by the end of it they said that it was very well taken care of. And I'm like, she like hacked it to pieces.
She's like the Masterchef Rasputin, just tending to Alexei. Little Alexei Barramundi. Working the magic on it.
Sorry, all I've got going through my head now is Rasputin. Anyway, I'll just leave that alone.
And so do all of the listeners now.
Yep.
Enjoy that.
It's got nothing to do with anything, but that's just where I am.
When does anything so far tonight have anything to do with anything? I'm trying. I forget what happens when I put you two together. So Simon very loudly announced that he loves pumpkin and wants it to be the hero of his dish. Do you know he's going to open up a vegan smokehouse? He's never mentioned this before. Much like most things to do with vegans, and yes, I know we have some vegans listening to us right now, and hi, I apologize for what I'm about to say, but you know it's true. Simon has spent the entirety of the competition talking about his vegan smokehouse. So much like vegans, can't stop talking about it.
Yeah, so in the true spirit of his vegan smokehouse, next he'll pick veal.
Yes.
But we're ahead of the game. Let's just finish one.
I was finishing one. I didn't bring that up.
Okay. I'm just telling myself, let's finish one fucking thing.
Now, we do, however,
linear.
with the butter sauce, we do, however, have to bring that up because everyone then brought up the word butter sauce. Alongside the word beautiful, it must be said. And if you were playing the drinking game last night, the word beautiful really fucked you up. Like, it was every second word last night. It was ridiculous. Even I thought Abby had come back.
Beautiful. I'm saying beautiful as many times as they do. Beautiful.
You're not even close. So George at this point called out, "We call this half time," to try to make a football pun.
It brings out the oranges for everyone.
But as everyone pointed out, well, you forgot quarter time, George. And you didn't do a call then, or 3/4 time, it must be said.
Yeah, but he was running the bases.
He was going to hit a touchdown.
He was going to ice the puck.
He iced the puck. Now
3 points from the halfway line.
Now, when they got over there, Matt went over to give Anushka a bit of a pep talk while she was cooking hers. It's like, your homely flavors are wonderful. Now we just elevate it to the next level. You know, you could be the next Billy. You could be the next Billy. And my first thought was, what? Someone whose opinion you can ignore?
Yep.
Is that what you're after?
He effectively said, usually your plating is homely as a milking goat, but this time we want you to dress the goat up. I don't know, just like,
put some
really,
lipstick on the pig, damn it. Yeah. Lipstick on the pig.
Why?
Now, look, I know some people are going to say to me here, you're being hypocritical because you want people to try things, and then Larissa tried something and you're going to have a go at her for it. The difference is what Larissa tried. So she was doing, let me just go back through my memory bank and think of the what she did. Oh, hang on a minute. That's right. Fish. So the dish itself was absolutely normal. There was nothing different about it, except she decided she was going to do wheat grain in water. Flavored water.
It really does sound like something that Pete Evans would make.
It's
now, like, we're going beyond a bone broth because, you know, like, because like cows like damage our planet. So we're going for a wheat broth, like a wheat water. Now, I just want you to activate your wheat water.
Now, what was
I would have just made tabbouleh. Like, they had a spice grinder. Whack the wheat in the spice grinder. Make tabbouleh. Like, you've got your burgle wheat. So you'd use it like burgle wheat. Crack it up and.
What made it hilarious was that Larissa seemed shocked that wheat water had no flavour. Like,
well, wheat water.
What was the surprise?
Like, it's when you make a dough. I presume, Robert, that when you're making a cake, you just don't stop at water and wheat.
No, then you've made pasta.
Good pasta recipe, that one.
Good pasta recipe, all right.
So Matt then talked about, when you're cooking, you should, we want you to be, he talked to Larissa and was trying to pep talk her up with football again. And we want you to be the Collingwood of food. And I thought to myself, no, she's got too many teeth.
I was a bit worried
But also, he said, I want you to be like the Collingwood kicking goals. And I'm like, oh, is that the big game? And then I'm like, but Matt wasn't wearing black and white, so that can't be the big game.
Yeah, but what we should be grateful for is that it was Matt talking to the youngest person at a football field, not George. Because that doesn't go so well.
The last time George had a chat with...
It's nice to see he's using a good local reference there for the locals.
Nice work. Anyway. Except he used Collingwood, not West Coast or Fremantle. Anyway, what was really good... This gives us a chance to give you two of my favourite comments last night on George. The first one was, George looks like a divorced dad who's just discovered Bumble. Thanks, Kira. And far more impressively from Marco, that he then listed what he would have written on Bumble. Interests, fighting teenagers. Dislikes, penalty rates. So nothing there was wrong. So let's go into our second part of a rant, shall we?
Sorry, as a local, there's a lot of solemn nodding happening here.
I can see.
So second rant.
Pom puree.
Just go.
Otherwise known as fucking mashed potatoes. Now, before people go, but it's different.
It's sloppy.
What's different about it is more butter. That's literally the difference.
So my toast becomes le toast if I just whack more butter on it.
Yeah, pretty much.
I just give it a French name.
Pomme puree. No, it's fucking mashed potato.
Le pain becomes my toast when I put more butter on it.
That'll do.
Le raisin pain.
Le raisin pain. Le raisin pain sounds like the name of like a mid-90s American sitcom actor. Starring in Family Matters, Le Raisin Pain.
Did I do that? Everywhere you go,
by the way you're blending was beautiful. So, I don't know. Am I overreacting to the pomme puree thing, Robert, or am I right? Just fucking mashed potatoes with a bit more butter.
It's food wankery. We all do it.
Well, it's like Ireland. They call it cold cannon. It's just got fucking leek and shit in it. Spring onions and stuff. Like, it's just mashed potato.
I'm just over the fact they're trying to make it sound wanky.
Yeah, we've got to Masterchef it up.
No, we don't.
I told you, you're either the seafood king, the flavour king, or the Wayne king. And here we are. Enough pommes purees, and they'll be labelling you the Wayne king.
You know, that callback works. I didn't see it coming, but that callback absolutely works.
No one sees Wayne King coming.
Oh, that may have been one of the filthiest things you've ever said. And you say felching, and that might have been worse. Anyway, Tessa did a pumpkin puree there was a purpose to it. I'm sure there was. I can't quite work out what the purpose of that little bit of pumpkin puree on the plate was.
It's a mini pumpkin. You're not going to get much puree out of a mini pumpkin. How much puree do you want, Big Cat?
More than that little teaspoons worth.
But then it becomes a pumpkin. Le pumpkin.
Here's the stupid part about it. The really stupid part about it was, look at the rest of Tessa's dish. It was fish with some chips laid across it in a crisscross pattern and a little bit of fucking pumpkin puree behind it. What the fuck was the pumpkin puree doing there?
Making it elegant. Next time
Robert, is this a food trend in Western Australia? Random pieces of pumpkin puree?
No. No.
You know what it looked like? It looked like what had actually happened was she ran out of food and they had like the jars of like baby food. And she's like, oh, quick, get the pumpkins. Just scoop it, put it behind it.
So you can elevate Red Rooster, right? You get your chicken down, you crisscross your chips over the top and just whack a little bit of pumpkin puree. You can, because you can buy the roast pumpkin.
Yes.
You just mash it up with a bit of butter, whack that next to it. Bang.
Elevated. So
as long as you apply it with a bit of a smear across the plate, have a bit of negative space plating.
That's why she
quenelled.
Yeah, she quenelled, not smeared. That was her problem. So,
or not a puddle underneath, with a spoon, and they just do a little run around. So it's like
the run around. So the little basin. It's a basin.
It's a basin. Yeah. For me, it kind of looks like a prolapse something, but we'll go for a basin, because that's more palatable than a prolapse.
You've already gone dark, and now you're backing out on the word prolapse. Well done.
Yeah, well.
Everyone backs out on a prolapse. Anyway, Tim's dish changed from goat's cheese gnocchi, as it said, to lamb with goat's cheese gnocchi. Gary described Nicole's fish skin as boingy. Is that a thing?
I'm
boingy?
backing out of a prolapse.
We've lost Kristie. Kristie.
Get back to the boinging.
So, get back to the boinging. So Gary announced that Nicole's fish skin was boingy. I'm sure that that's something that you read on menus or like restaurant menus. Boingy skin.
Yeah, it's a fat duck Heston's using boingy fish.
Remember when you were young and you used to jump on a trampoline? Well, think that, but for seafood. It's a boingy skin.
And he's like,
it's going to be the next Oil of Olay kind of ad.
Boingy.
Now with omega-3 for extra boingy skin.
Yeah.
Hey, if I trust anybody with that, it's the good people at the Ponds Institute. They do some good work.
Yeah.
Now I'm imagining
they do some very science-ish things.
Has gone out and caught one of those fucking huge sunfish. You know the ones I'm talking about that are a waste of fucking space, that have no direction. They literally float. They don't even have a swim bladder. And he's got one of those and skinned it to make like a full-size trampoline.
Trampoline had a fish skin.
So you can have boingy skin and act like a kid.
As opposed to the crispy skin of the Bloomin' Barramundi. Anyway.
Back at the ranch.
Now,
stadium.
Then they judged Anushka's and they got her to do, first of all, the equivalent of a Jetstar jump. And then after that...
Well, they are the sponsor by the look.
They broke the show at this point because after they judged Anushka's, everything else in the episode became version 2.0. Version 3.0. At one point, version 10.0.
They were really pushing the new millennia there.
Yeah, look, I can't wait for Y2K.
No.
They were the Vegemite ice snack.
Oh. So Anushka's, they said, this is Anushka 2.0. And Anushka got very excited about that. I don't know.
And then at the end, they're like, it could even be that good. It could be 3.0.
When they got to Tessa's later on, it was 10.0.
I know. I'm like, no, that's when you get to X.
Yeah.
No, in fairness, Anushka's meal did look bloody nice.
Oh, yeah. They did.
Great. Yeah.
It was the best of a bunch that was a bit meh.
And at least
George
used...
and Gary and Matt kept on saying meh.
Yeah, but at least she used the butter to poach the potatoes in it.
Yeah, look, she actually had the best use of butter in making those potatoes awesome. Like, I didn't care about the fish, but I would have just had the butter potatoes.
But does that make them like they can't be just butter poached potatoes? Now they've got to be
Le pomme frites.
Le pomme frites.
Yeah.
Le pomme frites.
Poor Robert. He's just like, invite me onto his fucking podcast and all you guys do is sit there and rant and just want me to go, yep.
No, what I'm doing in my head is going, the fish was nice, but the potatoes. Anyway.
It was.
I'm trying to work a butter pun in my head, and I just can't quite get there, and I've got stuck.
Just be French. Put the word "la" in front of it.
Is your brain churning away? Get it?
Nice.
Oh,
Very good.
Very cultured. Anyway,
Just like Jess's upcoming butter line.
just like Jess's upcoming butter line. So, night 2 tonight.
Just on that, does that mean that Jess is going to sit down and like play like Vivaldi to the
Yes.
to the
100%.
way before
We'll get it back on once she actually, has launched everything and ready to go with it. But I'm quite sure there's opera.
Yep.
Again, the 4 Seasons, the Vivaldi one, not Oh What a Night, September. No, not that one. The classical 4 Seasons.
Okay.
Great Expectations.
Should we get on to the second?
When I want to start talking about things off topic, it's no. If you want to do it, it's let's run with it.
Yeah.
I was about to talk about classic cooking books. Like she sits there and reads Mrs. Beeton's every night. Cultured butter.
We'll certainly know what to do with that leftover venison.
That's Lady McLean's.
Oh, Lady
That's even more cultured. Just what to do with that leftover venison. So, the restaurant they were at tonight, Robert.
Never heard of it.
Never seen it? No, I've seen it. When we were over in Perth, I remember it because the lights stand out. It was down the road from a place where we may have gone in and had a late night coffee. It's like the next. It was actually. It's that block. It's at the corner. I don't remember the name of the place we went into for coffee, but it was lovely coffee.
Right. You see, I don't get up much, and again, I could be staring. I could be right in front of it, looking at it, and I wouldn't recognize it.
To give you an idea,
and haunted. The place you had coffee at, a ghost walked past me. Saying.
To give you an idea, by the way, about Robert's understanding of Perth.
Yeah.
While we were over there, one of us was the navigator.
It wasn't me.
It was me. Once I've been somewhere once, I have a pretty good understanding of where I'm going, and I've been to Perth, so I had a pretty good understanding of where I'm going, and a couple of times Robert may have missed turn-offs. But the day we did the full loop of the city was wonderful.
Hey, look, you saw more of Perth than anyone else would have.
Exactly, and he did it free and out of the kindness of his heart. And, like, you showed us the sunset. You even organised for a fucking bagpiper to play as the sun was setting. Like, you don't get that.
And more importantly, made fajitas. He made fajitas.
Oh, fajitas. I thought you meant, he's like,
the bagpiper did
he made
fajitas.
Fajitas, no, like 4 heaters. And I'm like, this summer we didn't need a heater.
4 candles? No, handles for forks. Anyway.
That would have been faster. Anyway. Next.
We're never going to be invited back to Perth again.
Oh, no, we are. All right, so let's get into tonight, shall we? Because people at home listening going, what are you all on about? And the answer is we're having fun with this because there was no content tonight.
No.
My notes for last night went over 3 pages. My notes for tonight barely go over like half a page. And that includes dot pointing what they made and me writing down lyrics to a song I plan on singing.
Yeah,
while the show was on, I just started tweeting out pictures of Perth of like locations literally next to where they were filming. Although you remember, I've got no sense of direction, but still, literally next to where they were filming, where they could have got a better freaking shot. Like the kangaroos, they could have got more than half of one kangaroo.
Well, I was going to ask you about
that.
that.
Nice area. I was
going to ask you about that because when they went, oh, what a beautiful park, I'm thinking, oh, they're walking through King Park. And I had a look, and I recognise it. It's a little fucking triangle in the middle of the urban area. It wasn't King Park, the first bit where they go, this is beautiful. It's outside the old governor's building.
Yeah, even where they are, there's 400 different shots that would have been more cinematic and interesting.
Like, it wasn't a beautiful park. It's a triangle. Like, it's not even a block wide, the triangle. And it's
a traffic island.
Exactly.
Anyway.
I was trying to be nice and not call it what it is, which is a traffic island, but it was a fucking traffic island. Like, what a beautiful park. And I'm like, you barely all fit on it.
What's really funny is they're right next to the Supreme Court Gardens. They're right next to Queen's Park. They're right next to all these different chunks of Perth. Literally, you could have spat and hit better scenery.
And where the fuck was the bell tower? I just have to ask.
Why did they not go to the bell tower? I mean,
because
really?
Even they know better than that.
Hey, does our adventures up the bell tower mean nothing to you, Robert?
Hey, look, there's nothing quite like playing La Cucaracha on a carillon.
And look, when we had to make the decision as to what we were going to play on the carillon, look, we had 2 songs, and there was no question that La Cucaracha was the first. And we just looked at each other and went, yeah, that's happening. So let's go through it. So I'm just going to run through what they all got. So it was a staggered service challenge. They had, 30...
No, didn't we do the reef and beef surf and turf last night? We completely missed a whole...
Oh, we haven't mentioned the reef and beef and surf and turf, did we? Let's do that.
No, come on!
I tried to cut through to it.
I'm the funny one. You're the notesy one.
I'm the notesy one.
Wow.
All right, so reef and beef and surf and turf.
People in the listening going, oh, Kristie, you are so wrong.
I was trying to move it on. So anyway,
moving.
So surf and turf, what's the point? It's weird. I don't want fishy beef. Keep your fishy beef to yourself. The only time fish belongs with any kind of other protein than fish is in like Thai food. No,
or oysters kill
piss
Patrick.
off with your fishy beef.
Yeah, fishy beef is, yeah.
Yeah, but oysters kill Patrick is like bacony oysters. That's a different thing. It's not fishy beef.
Which is why I think I was okay with Tim's choice, because it's just like pork crackle and oysters and sauce, but it was scallops instead.
Now, were they scallops or mushrooms? Because I've been burnt before.
Let it go, let it go.
Now, Nicole grabbed an entire fucking lobster and then went, I don't know what I'm doing with this.
like reinvent surf and turf. And they're going, the classic combinations are lobster and fucking steak, and prawn and steak. So she goes straight for one of the first classics, lobster and steak.
You see, she did the right thing. She just tried to emulate Tim, where you get 2 ingredients and you place them next to each other. But she's not a male, so it didn't work for her.
No, I'm sorry, you're missing a crucial ingredient, and that's a penis. Just had a wang, this would have been complete.
So we then got our first look at Marin.
Yeah, drink.
Like, drink, oh boy. And long may it continue for the rest of Western Australian week.
Larissa grabbed a Marin, Simon grabbed an octopus.
And veal. Why, again, the guy who wants a vegan smokehouse grabs veal?
Why he didn't do a Cthulhu turducken like you see on Facebook, I don't know. Like just a little like, what's it called? Quail with the fucking octopus tendrils coming out. I'm reinventing your surf and turf. Take this.
It's being born. So
I'm mating the 2.
and the problem was there was so many hits last night at one point because everything was a take on a classic, because the whole challenge was a take on a classic. But as I tweeted out, the only person who could keep up was Kyle, because he goes a microbrewery.
The amount of alcohol.
And the only person who could have kept up with the amount of booze, I had someone else who told me today that they were watching it today and they were doing it with a cup of tea in front of them, and they'd finished their tea far too quickly.
Yeah, I had a glass of rosé last night, and I must say I wasn't even through the first challenge and it was gone.
I sculled mine last night. At one point, I just gave up and just drank and drank and drank and drank and drank.
Beautiful.
And I also put out there that in tonight's challenge, the stakes had never been so middling. I thought, and again, controversial statement, and then I'll let the 2 of you riff on it. I thought that surf and turf, reef and beef, I thought it was the most boring thing I've watched in a very long time. And bland, because we got similar fucking things all over again. Discuss.
I completely forgot about it.
Yeah, we almost moved on to the next one. I forgot that it
existed.
I forgot about it so much, I nearly moved on to the next bit.
It just made me want oysters kill Patrick. That's all it did.
Tessa was really clever. She repurposed the dish that beat her in one of the challenges. Instead of a curry, it was just a laksa.
Was it
a laksa she did?
Yeah,
she reinvented it.
That's a genius move. Like, that was a genius move, and I went like, we didn't. I don't think anyone commented about it online because it's not a problem. It's not a problem. We've seen it done brilliantly before.
But not only that, she did actually reinvent it. She took the flavors, made them her own, readjusted it, and made it work for her. I thought it was quite clever.
His was a crab based curry.
Yeah.
But the idea of the flavor was really clever to go, this is where you can use it. It's interesting because that's something where they tried that other challenge where it was about, remember a recipe and then regurgitate it later on and try it. Well, that's something where she actually did go, hang on a minute, that worked quite well. Let's do something along those lines. And it was brilliant. So full marks to Tessa for going, I can, and she didn't, as you said, Robert, she didn't just redo it. She took the concept and went, yeah, but how can I do it in a way that I know I'm comfortable with?
Yep.
And the judges kept on saying, oh, I don't know about this. Oh, I don't know about this. Oh, I don't know about this. And then they had it and went, that's brilliant. Like, and you could see as long as she got the balance of the sauce right, she was going to be sweet.
Yep.
And she got the balance of that sauce absolutely perfect.
And so it was well deserved that she went through.
It was very well deserved that Tessa went through.
Yeah.
Said all the way along that Tessa's really sort of...
Her and Larissa are my top two.
Yeah. I kind of feel like they're... I mean, look, we'll get to Larissa tonight and...
And the third person, it just depends on who's on form.
That was a stumble.
Yeah.
But, like, Larissa tonight had a bad night, but then again, so did Simon. So we'll come to that in a minute.
I still want Anushka to get up just because, like, the competition is very heavily stacked against her. So, yeah.
Look, you know, who knows? In the finals, it might be, you know, make a layer cake and we'll be fine.
That could be interesting. So...
You know I'm all about the cake, so...
Well, you know I'm all about those cakes.
No, Marin. I'm all about this. Anyway, not for you. Anyway, so, night 2. Now, again, I only know the restaurant because I've seen the lights and we drove past it.
Wildflowers.
Sure.
I'm trying to do it to, like,
Wild horses.
Wild horses.
The Wild Stallions. We are Wild Stallions. All right, so Nicole, they each got a dish. They each got an ingredient.
Imagine the chef should go, be excellent to each other.
I could imagine him doing it. Chef Matt was not here for their bullshit.
No.
And I was here for Chef Matt because I like that Chef Matt just looked at them all and went, you're all fucked.
You're in
like,
my kitchen.
Seriously, you're all fucked. And like at the end when he went, there's a lot of things here that I'm fairly sure might go on my menu. In my head, I'm going, no, it's not.
Nah.
No, dude, you're not doing that. What he did learn tonight, I think, was never let them back near his kitchen. So my problem is I'm finding a lot of the stuff really simplistic. And no, I'm not saying it's easy to cook, but I'm saying at this stage of the competition, they're doing a lot of very simplistic stuff, or they're going the other way and doing things that are impossible to do. So like Derek in the last couple of weeks before he went home, trying to do a like 500 course meal in the space of 25 minutes, you know, that sort of thing. Or they go with one bit of fish grilled and that's the other way they go about it. And you're like, but you could have done more. They can't work out when to do a lot and when to do a little. That's the weird part. So I'll give you the courses and I'll give you the people. They had 2.5 hours to prep each course. So it was staggered starts. Nicole got beetroot because we haven't seen beetroot cooked in this competition in any way, shape or form at all.
How did beetroot become the new yuzu?
It really has. I mean, hey, the difference being, I actually like the taste of yuzu.
I quite like beetroot, but I don't want it in everything.
Don't you want a beetroot molasses, Robert?
Don't you want a beetroot molasses?
Don't you need a beetroot molasses in your life?
Don't you need a beetroot molasses?
Apparently.
Everyone does. So she did beetroot salad 3 ways. We'll come back to it in a minute. Simon got Marin. Anyway, it's really simple. I was going to cut it in half. I'm going to smoke it, and then we'll put it back together again.
No, he's going to grill it.
There was originally going to smoke it. Because it's Simon. What else does he do? Then he changed his mind.
It was really hard to roll it in the paper.
Very hard. Then he changed his mind from smoking to grilling. Then he decided he was going to take it out of the shell, and we'll come back to what happened with that. Christina got duck and threw a massive tantrum about having to cook duck. Like, I've never seen someone so pissed going, I can't believe I have to do duck.
I mean, most people want ducks.
People want ducks all the time.
Yeah.
People want ducks.
Except Christina.
Thanks, Silo.
I can just imagine Ben sitting at home going, well, just kill me now. Restaurant that's devoted mostly to Australian produce and Australian kind of...
They're making duck.
Like,
I know. The irony is not lost.
Like,
Only
it's just like, you poor bastard, watching that after...
And boy didn't Twitter let Masterchef know it too. And then Tim got finger limes.
It sounds like a disease. I'm sorry, Miss Tim can't come to school today. He's got finger limes. So
Now,
Excuse me, pharmacist, do you have any of that finger lime shampoo and the comb? I'm really going to need to comb them.
need to comb the finger limes. So he was going to pair it with cheese. George came in and told him how much he loved it, and I'm assuming him. And he then decided he was going to do a finger lime chutney with a French toast. Now, at this point, it's time for the song.
Okay.
All right. So
he's gone.
He then announced that the chutney, after boiling it for a bit, the outside of the rind was still solid, but the rest of it was still really runny, so it wasn't going to work. So he was going to take a chance, and he was going to make the chutney into a syrup. So he was taking a chance on this.
If you change your mind.
Take a chance. I was going to say, do you want to do the take a chance?
No, I'll do the take a chance.
Okay, go.
Take a chance.
If you change your mind on the finger line, Honey Tim's still free because it's paired with cheese. If you're eating the French toast when you're feeling down, then enjoy the finger limes while you're sitting down. There we go. That was seamless. We're
marvelous.
Here for Eurovision. We're here for Eurovision.
With finger limes.
That's all I really want, baby. Nobody wants finger limes. Anyway,
Or fingered limes.
he also admitted that he'd never heard of finger limes until he got onto MasterChef. I knew you were going to do that. That's why I've tried to move on as fast as I could. Yeah, he also admitted he'd never heard of finger limes.
Speaking of fingered limes, right?
Oh, God.
Okay. For Akon, Lady Sings It Better, who are fantastic, did this great ad for safe sex for people who have vaginas. And it involved gloves and a lot of fruit having their hands physically put into the fruit and torn apart. And what was it? I think it was to Closer that they sang it to. I'll tweet it. There we go. That's enough about fingered limes.
All right. Larissa announced very loudly that she was going to make a bomb Alaska.
And we very loudly announced that we were not there for that in lots of sweary ways.
Now,
it's a brave choice.
As a fellow bake-offian, why, to the MasterChef audience out there, Robert, is a bomb Alaska not a good idea?
Because there's too many different failure points. It's just always a bad idea. Like
It
bomb
never
Alaska for more
works.
than 1 or 2 servings is a terrible idea. As soon as you're serving more than 5 bomb Alaskas or even 6 bomb Alaskas in a set period of time, you're pretty much screwed.
And she didn't remotely use the flavour she had to use.
No, and unless you're Carmen, who makes the most amazing bomb Alaska, and you've got all the fucking time in the world to prep,
Why didn't she just ring Measure and order them?
walk away.
Should have just rung up Measure and they would have been made to measure, but but like she could have just got Carmen to deliver her a bunch of them and that would have been fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, they weren't using, she didn't use any of the flavour.
No.
She had to. And I'm going to work it in there. And he's like, it's not going to work. And she's like, yes, it will. Like, no, it's not going to work.
She had too much thinking time. And you know what? She had too much thinking time and not enough plan B time. Like, it was like, you've got all that time to think, at least, let's look at it. It's a half-hour staggered start, right? So you had half an hour for fucking, 5 people before her? 4 people before her?
You had
2 hours.
1, 2, 3. You had 4. She had 4 of them, so she had 2 hours, yeah.
Yeah, too much thinking time and not enough going, like, where was her strategy? Like, here's the woman who's going, I'm going to fuck up Andre Rieu, whatever his fucking name was.
Andre, yeah.
I can't remember his name. That's the first thing that popped into my head. And look, anyone wanting to fuck up Andre Rieu, I'm down for that. So she's like, strategy and just, come on, Larissa, you're better than this.
I did raise, and I know it's a food competition, and it shouldn't be about strategy and tactics. But fuck it, Larissa's made it about strategy and tactics, and good on her. Why did everyone just happily say to Larissa, "Do dessert"?
Because they can't do desserts.
But surely one of you is confident enough that you can do something in desserts.
No,
and don't leave her with desserts if you think that that's what she's brilliant at.
No, because she's also strengthened her savoury game.
Wasn't particularly great last night.
Yeah, but she wasn't particularly great tonight with the dessert. She's just having an off time. It's like,
No, well, she wasn't
together, Larissa.
No, but tonight the problem was and George actually, I hate the fact that George and Gary had this right, but they did. She decided before she went in there, I'm going to make a bomb Alaska.
Yep.
Then when I don't really care what the ingredient is, I'll work it out.
I want to know what went wrong with her Italian meringue. Maybe the temperature, or maybe it was over whipped. As soon as you do that, it starts to collapse.
There are a couple of people on Twitter who commented that there was too much of it in the machine. My other thing was that she'd left herself with like time pressures all over the place.
So in one of those mixes, you only need about 200 grams of eggs and about 300 grams of sugar. You overflow the mixer. So yeah.
And then it was never going to set. And that was the thing. Like, it was just never going to set in a million years. There was no chance. And she goes, I hope the blast chiller will bail me out. I'm like, no, blast chillers aren't going to bail you out of this time.
The Bomb Alaska really is the risotto of the desserts. You know, it's like risottos are cursed in MasterChef. And I have to say Bomb Alaskas are too.
Bomb Alaskas are just cursed in cooking shows, period. Like, you know, Bake Off has had some spectacular Bomb Alaska failures. You know, there's been some doozies over the years,
like it's controversy,
falling apart in the freezer. You know, now they tried to come up with a couple of dramas. That gives you an idea of how bad the general gist of the episode was. Simon looked to speed up the cooking by poaching the marin in the butter and then putting them back in the shell. Concept great until you think about what happens to things like marin or lobster or prawns once you cook them.
But then you're not saving any fucking time because you're spending time pulling it out of the shell and putting it back into the shell. It made no fucking sense.
Yeah, but the bigger problem was that he didn't understand what was about to happen to the flesh of the meat, which is what happens when you do anything like that, which is that it curls up. So it didn't fit back into the shell anyway, and therefore it just looks stupid.
But then, you know, like when you put it on the flame and you pull it off, it's still cooking. So he was fine. He should have stuck to his original plan.
No, but he couldn't get it back in the shell. He couldn't actually.
No, but I'm not saying
I'm not that into seafood, but why wouldn't you just hack it in half and fry it off on top of a grill surface?
Well, that's what Kristie's getting at, which is why didn't he do that?
That's what he was originally going to do, and then he didn't. It's like, just fuck.
But
it's faster, then it got tastier.
Well, then it got worse for me because, like, the way that he manhandled that marin, like, to get remotely serious for a minute, we'll come back to more grotesque talk in a minute, everybody. But the food service side of MasterChef has been on display this week twice, and it's been Simon twice. So last night in the challenge, Simon was basically his own drip feed into the dish. He was sweating ridiculously heavily, and just like you can see, it was running off him.
I'm also concerned about his hair. Like everyone, like the women in MasterChef, you see them with their hair tied back, but as soon as you got a guy with like a floaty hairstyle, they're just all over the fucking shop.
Yeah, Larissa's hair was all over the shop last night as well.
Yeah,
there was a lot of hair.
Hairography,
everywhere.
But not to be those people. But I mean, like, food service is a real thing. And, like, don't drip in the dish, base level advice.
It'll just cook out and add extra salt.
But
I'm seasoning it, Gary. I'm seasoning it
with myself. Again, not really a vegan thing to do. And then
when I tried out for MasterChef, I was so overwrought with just being too hot. And Tash said, dude, you look a mess. Keep a towel in your pocket and wipe your face. It's not a good look. Nobody wants to see that. No one wants to see a drop of sweat run down your face, off your nose, into food. It's never okay.
But if we look at what Waleed did, Waleed wore the wristbands, you know, like that was smart.
Yeah.
You know?
Or like me on Bake Off. I was a dick with a ninja bandana.
That's right.
Yeah. Which is hilarious because, but I'm not there to be cool. I'm there to try and make food and whatever, it works.
I don't know if Mario Lopez, whatever his name is, can wear it on Saved by the Bell.
Exactly.
I think everyone.
And then the problem with tonight was that, like, when he was plating that marin, it wasn't just like plating the marin. He was not like placing it on the plate. He was like fidgeting with it and like running his hands all over it non-stop. Like he put
If
it
it was a lime, it would have been fingered.
but on King.
He's the Wayne King of Marin.
I can't call the episode Wayne King. I know you're trying, but I can't. All right. So Nicole, they tasted Nicole's.
The King of Wayne.
They tasted Nicole's and they said that it was nicely cooked beetroot and the flavour was nice, and that was really it. Detailed feedback tonight. They then tasted Simon's dish. Their comment with Simon's dish was that it went mushy. The emulsion was terrible. And Simon isn't the man to bring issues on a plate, but he's done so.
Have they never seen him cook seafood before?
George should remember what he did to the fish. George was the one who called him out on it. But in the words of a broken heart, Robert, it's just emotion that was taking it over.
Yeah, it's just emotion.
Can't get it over. Covered in garlic and overpowering.
Dear.
Come for the food punditry. Stay for the singing. So Larissa suddenly at this point was
Some
worried
might
about...
say, you got me feeling emotion.
Oh, well done.
Deeper than a
Well played.
Yeah, clearly I know the lyrics.
Well
Go
played. Larissa at this point became worried about time.
Yep.
And then suddenly decided that maybe Matt knew what he was talking about and maybe this was a dumb idea. And then she went, no, it's definitely a dumb idea. Matt's right. As, like, again, in used hand, water is wet.
Look, Larissa's Bomb Alaska was really Bomb Alaska under fucking Palin, wasn't it? Really.
Well, as Matt Preston referred to it, bombed out Alaska.
It is bombed out Alaska. So it is the Alaska under Governor Palin.
So Christina's duck was good. It looked pretty. The flavors were good. It was tasty. Look, what Christina did with the duck that was smart was she pan-seared. So she could control the cooking a lot more by pan-searing rather than put it in an oven and wait and see what comes out of it. Like, so you've got a little bit more control. Now, in a professional style MasterChef challenge, the next phrase was actually said on camera. It's time to start frying up my toast. That was a thing.
But directly after he said, this is Masterchef.
Yeah, this is Masterchef. It's time to start frying up my toast. I
got to say, fried bread is freaking amazing.
Fried bread's great.
Oh, yeah.
No one's arguing about fried bread. Now, have you ever heard a more lukewarm response to a dish? They didn't say it was good. They didn't say it was bad. They just said it was.
Look, it really summed up. It honestly was Tim on a plate.
It was. Not good, not bad. It was. It's like you can see what he was doing. And that's what they basically like. We can see what he's doing. And the flavours are okay.
Look, when he brings the toasties to Ballarat, there'll be a movement.
Oh, there will be. Many movements.
There's a moment.
Many movements in the moments.
You can choose a toasty or a fucking kebab.
Now, after they checked in with Larissa's plum and ginger bomb Alaska, as she called it, they said even if she'd got the Italian meringue coating on it, it wasn't going to matter. There was no really good flavour there, and it was lacking plum. So, all her plums. So, at this point, we got Nicotina round 2.
Yep, Nicotina in. And I just have to say thank you to everyone on Twitter for picking that up and running with it. I feel like I've started a thing.
It's a movement.
You know, I feel like the person who invented the word selfie.
I feel like this episode is all about movements, Kristie. It's all about movements. You know, the movement for the toasties.
The movement for the bowels.
The movement for Nicotina.
The movement for Wayne King.
And the movement for finger limes. I think this is all about the movement. No, there is a movement at hand, folks. A movement is at hand.
It's very kinetic.
Lots of nodding profusely. So that's the start of Western Australia Week.
Yep. What can we expect? More quokkas. More Marin.
Well, they are going to Rottnest.
Sweeping views of Margaret River and the coastline.
God, I hope the quokkas do what quokkas actually do and like steal people's food.
Rottnest is fine. You blink and you miss it, though. There's no need to be on Rottnest for more than an hour. It's a day trip at best, and it takes too long to get there.
I was about to say, but you can't get off Rottnest after an hour. Like, you've got to wait.
Yeah, there's a reason for that. Quokkas are awesome, and it's a stunning place, but once you've been there and you've looked at a quokka and you've had a pint at the pub, then you're like, okay, I'm ready to go now. That was fine.
All right, so
I go back home.
so for Western Australian Week, if you could pick one place or one thing to feature in Western Australian Week,
I like that they're featuring the Swan Valley. Margaret River is an overpriced heap of wank. So the Swan Valley has everything that Margaret River has, but in a much more concentrated area, right up close to houses. Like, the Swan Valley is actually pretty big. It stretches from the northern part of the Darling Scarp all the way down, all the way down to Guildford. And it's actually a really good micro wine producing area. There's good food, good grazing, there's crap tons of restaurants, crap tons of places to have really good wine. It's a good place.
Did you just say it stretches all the way to Guildford?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does that mean
yeah,
there's an outside chance of them going into the Museum of Natural History?
It's entirely possible. They probably drove past it to get to the Swan Valley, actually.
Just deliberately so that Matt can go and get his favourite burgers.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what it was.
Like, the whole challenge has been set up so Matt can go and get some burgers.
He's like, I'll go to West Australia as long as we get to my burgers.
Do I get to
what was the album that you bought in Guildford?
Okay, so
that was
to wrap it up, we were actually talking about it. So we went into one of the great antique shops on the strip there, and
assorted bric-a-brac and crap.
And I do. My brother and myself like to buy each other the most ridiculously stupid, pointless albums we can think of. There's a song that has stuck with me since 1988. Not that one, that's yours.
We're standing beside you.
That's yours.
We'll see you through.
Robert's singing it along. You're not alone. It was the song designed to raise money for the Seoul Olympic team. Sung famously most of all.
No, there was more than one Olympic team.
Yeah, I know, but it was.
Sorry.
They didn't mention them.
I'm being stupid now.
Yeah, they really only talked about the Seoul one. So they most famously, Angry Anderson was part of it, and there were a couple of others, but who really cares? It was the 80s. It was an Angry Anderson era. He was just finishing singing Suddenly for Scott and Charlene's wedding. And he came off the back of that.
Before he swallowed a red pill.
Yeah, before he swallowed the red pill. And anyway, after that, Angry Anderson and a bunch of other people sang this song called You're Not Alone. Most famously performed at the 88 Grand Final, NRL Grand Final, or Rugby League Grand Final, between Canterbury and Balmain. And there's all these celebrities out there singing / miming along while they're showing footage of the Olympic team walking through an airport. It was bizarre and weird, and I found the single, and my brother is now the proud owner of said single. I nursed that thing back on a flight.
You certainly
because I didn't want the record to be broken, because I actually wanted to be able to play it. And that trip back, by the way, was then followed by me finding it on YouTube so I could play it for everyone, because I'm trying to sing the song and I'm like, no, really, you'll remember it if you hear it. Holding my phone out going, listen.
It was everywhere at one stage.
It was. And that was just on that trip. Oh, so anything else you need to plug, Mr. I won a couple of prizes in the most recent cake competition I entered?
No, not much. Just the, hang on. I've just got to put my ears back in.
Go and check out, while he does that, go and check out his cake that he made and won a bunch of prizes on, which he's always too, modest to talk about, but it's a fucking castle.
Yeah, so facebook.com/Robert's Cakes and Cooking.
Go there, check it out, enjoy it.
check it out.
Also, make sure you just because I've got him on here, and I probably should, go and check out Food Nerd Vanity Project. The rest of that series is finally coming, folks, and then we're going to go on to some new stuff. So the rest of that series will be up very shortly, and then we'll get back onto it. But the most recent episode, and I say the most recent episode, which was recorded over 12 months ago, was with Joe Kendry, and it was talking about fried chicken. and rather controversial episode on fried chicken on Ugly Delicious. So check that out. It was actually a good little chat we had, though. Anything else you need to plug, Robert? Anything else you want to talk about? Plug the state? Plug?
No, the National Cake Decorators Association. So the Australian National Cake Decorating Association. You got to get the acronym right because there's about 8 of them.
Yeah,
so, Australian National. Oh, absolutely.
Are they the Judean People's Front or the People's Front of Judea?
No, they're the
the Popular Front. They're over there.
No, it's just there's lots of different cake clubs and it's kind of nice. And most of us all just like to share stuff and get about. But the 20th National Seminar is on in Melbourne on I think it's the 14th to the 18th of August, and that'll be can't quite remember what go to ancda.org.au, I think it is, or ancda.org. We'll find it anyway. Yeah, and if you want to watch 3 days worth of cake decorating demonstrations with people like Julia Usher, Serta Yenna, there are Dorothy Cleric. There are incredible decorators, and I happen to be one of them as well. Somehow this idiot managed to get on a bill with actually skilled people.
Still not in Miscellaneous City, I'm noticing. Anyway.
No, it's in Melbourne, but it's going to be pretty awesome. It's people travel for it. You get 16 odd different demonstrators, and it's worth it. It's awesome. A lot of info. If you're into that sort of thing, make the effort. Yeah.
Sweet. 100%. You all should go. Everyone should turn up and just cheer for Robert.
Yes.
Yeah.
Cheer for Robert. Quote parts of this episode. Quote lots of parts of this episode. Quote the fingering of the limes. Anyway.
I've got something to plug.
Go.
What's your plug?
My lovely friend Natalie Perkins is a brooch maker. So I have this beautiful merpig brooch that I love very much. And it's Fancy Lady Industries. So if you want some funky melamine, I think that's what it's called. Brooches, Fancy Lady Industries. You'll find her on Facebook.
And just before we go, a reminder that if you want a bit of a different recap of all this, Ben Pobji, go check him out at Ben Pobji on Twitter. He does a really good recap.
Less felching, less wanking.
Yeah, less felching, less.
In fact, 0.
Wanking. I assume 0 of both of those things. Check him out. Always good fun. Anyway, that'll be us for this episode. Thank you, as always, Robert, for coming on. It's always a pleasure. We will get everybody, make sure that we probably get Robert back in time for Bake Off when it happens.
Sometime in the not too distant future.
At some time in a month.
The gods of Foxtel will deem.
Yeah, they'll deem it able to come back. But until then, we've got the rest of MasterChef to look forward to.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody's going to go through to finals week, and the rest of those poor saps are going back into an elimination challenge. So we'll find out who that is. And until next time, I'm still Chris.
And I'm still Kristie.
And we'll catch you all later.
Wayne King.